Hello and welcome to our lesson for today. Today, what we're going to do is we're starting the unit number 2, which is lesson 1, uh, focusing on calculating taxes. So, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about identifying the programs and services that are funded by our taxes. We are also going to talk about how to calculate the GST and PST of the items that we wanted to purchase and also calculate the total amount after the after tax cost of items. So in Canada, most purchases are subject to GST. The GST stands for Goods and Services Tax. The GST rate is 5%. In Manitoba, we will also pay PST, which stands for Provincial Sales Tax. So Manitoba's PST rate is 7%. At this particular time, GST is 5% and PST is 7%. So for our purpose for this lesson, we're going to use those 5% and 7% taxes. Why do we calculate the taxes and why are taxes collected? So the federal government uses funds from GST to pay for programs such as the healthcare, post-secondary education, social services, defense, and public safety. Now, the provincial government um, uses the funds from the PST that we pay towards a program like healthcare, education, roads and highways, and family services. If you would like to know more on the topic of GST and PST, we can get more information from this website right here. Just to let us know that there are no GST or PST charged on the following items. The ones that are considered basic groceries, for example, basic groceries are fruits, vegetables, white milk, meat, bread, and so on. There are also no GST or PST for medications and for feminine products. There is no PST charge on most baby products, including the clothing and footwear for children under 14, but we still have to pay the GST on these items. So let's go ahead and take a look at example number 1. So for example number 1, Samuel needs a new backpack for school. He finds one priced as $14.99. The very first question is asking to calculate the amount of GST that will be charged. So what we're looking for, we know is the amount of GST. So how do we calculate the amount of GST? GST, as discussed in a previous page, we said is 5%. So 5% of the item. So when we look at the 5% means 5 percent means per 100. So what we need to do first is to convert the 5% into an equivalent decimal value. So knowing that 5% means 5 per 100 or 5 divided by 100, which is going to be equal to 0.05. We're going to use this one to calculate the GST. So the amount of GST is equal to 5%. So we're going to use the decimal value and multiply it by the price of the item, which is $14.99. Okay, so what we're trying to do here is show our work, and then we're going to calculate the final answer. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're going to come across with this answer if we type it in onto our calculator. It's going to be 0.7495. Now, because we're talking about the amount, what we need to do is we need to round it off to 2 decimal places. And 2 decimal places is 0.74. But then we're going to look at the next place value, which is 9. That means that we're going to round it up to 75. So 0.75 dollars. Okay. So in this particular case, we're showing our work and we're showing our answer with appropriate unit, which is dollars. So now let's go on and calculate the amount of PST. The amount of PST. So we said that the PST is 7%. So 7%. Some of us already know that what percent means. So we said 7% means 7 per 100, or 7 divided by 100. So we know that. And then we can just figure out the decimal value for that, or decimal equivalent of that. So it's 0.07. Now, if you already know and from previous experience or previous classes that you go 7% is 0.07, so just go ahead and do that one. Okay, so for work, what we're going to do is we want to calculate the amount of PST. Okay, so how much is the amount that we have to pay towards the PST? That would be 7%, but instead of using 7%, we're going to use 0.7 times 14.99. Okay, and then we're just going to use our calculator to calculate that. And again, we're going to come across with all these 4 decimals. We need to round it off to 2 decimal places. It becomes 1.05, because the 9 will round off the 4 to the next value, place value. Okay. So it's $1.05. So in this particular case, for question 1A and 1B, we've actually just calculated the value of GST and the value of PST. Now for letter C's, we need to calculate the total cost. So when we buy a backpack, we have to pay the cost for the backpack plus the GST that is charged towards the backpack and the PST. So the total cost would be, including taxes, okay, after taxes. I'll just reset and put them after taxes. That would be $14.99, which is the price of the backpack. 75 cents, so 0.75 for GST, and $1.05 for the PST. Adding them all together, so $14.99 plus 75 cents plus $1.05. It's gonna come up to, again, 2 decimal places, so it's gonna be $16.79. $16.79. Okay, so that's a way to figure out the total cost. Now what we're going to do is, before we move on to the other parts, I just want to actually show you a different way of calculating the total cost after taxes. So what we're going to do is this. Because we're buying an item that costs $14.99, and then we have to pay 5% tax and then a 7% tax, we are actually, in fact, paying 112%. 112%. Well, why is it 112%? That means 100. We're paying the 100% value of the uh, the item, and then a 5% value for the GST, and then a 7% for PST. So that's 100% plus a 5% plus 7%. That's 112%. So to express it as 112%, it's going to be divided by 100. Okay, so we are really paying for 112% divided by 100. So that becomes 1.12. And then multiplying it with the price of the item. And then let's just calculate that. And we're going to see something that's, you're probably thinking, oh, it's slightly different, right? Now, but because we have to round this up to um, round up, because the third place value is um, higher than 5, then it still becomes $16.79. Okay, so in this particular case, we have two different ways of doing things. So this is going to be a shortcut. Okay, this is a shortcut of how to calculate the total amount without the extra calculations that we had to do here. Okay, so now let's do that. So I'm just going to write down here. This is a shortcut. This is the shortcut for calculating total cost. Okay, including PST and GST. It says here, note the expression total cost refers to the cost of an item after all taxes have been applied onto the price of the item. Taxes for an item can be calculated together using 12% instead of individually 5% and 7%. So that's just extra information for us. Let's go to the final example. Example number 2 says you buy a new bicycle from a sporting goods store with a sticker price of $129.97. So the sticker price is basically a tag that tells us this is going to be the price of the item. Calculate the total cost. Okay, now here they just want the total cost of the bicycle after taxes. Okay, we have an option here. We can calculate the GST, calculate the PST, and then add this, or we can just do the shortcut because we want the total cost. So we can just go total cost after taxes. So that's 1.12 times 129.97. Okay, so let's just take out our calculator. We're going to do this with a calculator. So 1.12 times 129.97 is going to give us all these decimals. But because we're doing this in a way that we have to talk about the 2 decimal places refers to the amount of money or the way we express our money. We go 2 decimal places, so that goes up to 56. But we look at the third number, and then that will, because this is higher than 5 or higher, it will round up this decimal, the second to the next, rounding it up to 57. So $145.57. Okay. So like I said, this is a shortcut. As you notice, we didn't calculate the GST and the PST individually. It just goes straight to that one. Finally, our last example in here, it says here, Maria needs a new runners that have a sticker price of $24.49. What will be the total cost to purchase the runners after tax? Again, we want the total cost after taxes. So let's do that. Again, because it's this is the new runners. Okay, runners are not one of the basic items, and they didn't specify for a kid, so that means runners has to have both GST and PST, which is 12%. So the total cost would be 1.12 times 24.49, and that's, again, let's use our calculator for that. So the cost would be $27.43 after we round up to rounded off to 2 decimal places. Okay, so we showed our work, we showed our final answer with the appropriate unit, which is dollars. So so that concludes our lesson for today on calculating taxes. So on the following page, there are some assignment questions that we can use to practice on. So I encourage you to do those questions. Okay, so thank you again for watching this video, the entire video. And if you have any questions, again, reach out to us, to your teachers, and we'll be happy to help you. Okay, thank you very much again for watching, and have a great day. Okay, bye for now.